Back with the most awkward hand I've seen in a long time. I think this is a keep though. Like, we've got a lot of colours of mana, and if we draw any land in about 2-3 draw steps, 1 draw step, 2 draw step, I think it's just 2 draw steps, then we're golden. Like, we can Coden's Reach into more land, we can Thirst into lands and spells. We've got Kitchen Finks in our Wood Readers to really gum up the ground, which is fantastic news. He's got Bone Splitter, which is terrible news. Siphon Life, similarly terrible news. I am going to use a counter to Raven's Crime here. Like, if we don't draw land and get to Coden's Reach, we're fairly dead anyway. And the first Raven's Crime is free. Doesn't even cost you a land from your hand. He's decided Glacial Rat isn't very good. So he's not discarding a land first, which is interesting. So he's tight on mana. Now, obviously, he suspends something for us to Rift Sweeper away. His beginning of combat step. Welcome to it. Land, 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 land. Preferably not Dakmor Salvage. Yeah. It's one of the advantages of running 20 lands in your deck. So I'm just going to Codemus Reach here. Don't see any reason to waste time thirsting just yet. In turn's time, we're probably going to start siphoning his life. So I might just fetch up 2 swamps here. In fact, I think I will. No, we've got no swamps right now. And we don't really need a plains right now. Like, if we find Sen's Enlistment, we've got 3 uses of Sen's Enlistment from our Vivid Lands alone, which is helpful. So next turn we can't quite Siphon Life and Kitchen Finks, or Siphon Life and Thirst. Or indeed Siphon Life and Siphon Life again. But we'll see what we can do. We can see what he's up to. It's possible we'll want the Kitchen Finks as a blocker, or the Wood Readers as a blocker. Or that we'll need just Thirst for sheer value. F6 through his turn. I mean, it's very possible that in a couple of turns' time, after we draw some more lands, that we can actually Citadel Wood Readers with Kicker. Which is exciting. Not really what I was planning to do today, but exciting. So our opponent's decided that he never wants to draw another land, which is worrying. Partly because he has a 3-3 in play that we can't quite deal with just yet. Which is again worrying. So I think we'll probably just play Finks. Well, play Finks and have him discard a card, which I kind of like the idea of. Cast 1 green, 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 green. Because he probably doesn't have many spare lands knocking about right now. I don't really need this extra forest. And yeah, take more cards from him. That way, if he doesn't hit a land off the Countryside Crusher, he can't actually attack into our Kitchen Finks very profitably. He decides he doesn't want Imperosaur in his hand, because he's never drawing another land, because he desperately needs the 4th land, which is the only land he has in his hand. He knows he's not drawing another one because Countryside Crusher. Jesus Christ. That's the first time I've ever seen Countryside Crusher hit any cards at all, and it's become immediately a 6-6. So we should spend last turn thirsting, looking for our Whisper or our Maelstrom Pulse. So now the decision becomes whether to chump or not. He also put a Mogg War Marshal into his hand, which is awkward and horrible. And chump, we take 8, we chump. I'm going to chump, just because if we don't find a removal spell for that thing, not immediately, but fairly quickly, we're pretty much dead. And just moving the Bone Splitter, okay. Untapped land, so I'm actually just going to kick a Citadel Wood Readers here, rather than derp around with Thirst for Knowledge. Just because I need to Thirst for Knowledge into a 3-drop removal spell anyway. Maybe that is better actually, then I have to remove spell this turn. And going to do something this turn is essentially equivalent to getting a 1/4 blocker on this battlefield. Oh, would you look at that, no remove spells. So this Countryside Crusher is not getting any smaller, but he has to decide whether or not he wants to keep his Mog War Marshal. Probably just jumping with the Finks again. It's just strictly worse than Wood Reader at this point. Or at least he's putting a double green spell in his hand, and I'm not convinced if he has another land in hand. Yeah, he's just paying the cost on Mog War Marshal, so that Penumbra Spider is not going to get cast anytime soon. At least not until we find a way to deal with this Countryside Crusher. God, I wish we had a Bound in Silence, that'd be great. You never get to draw your first land, and he's not attacking, and he's not blocking. Damn, wonder what his last card is to justify this attack. Like, it could be Echoing Courage, or Red Giant Growth, but I'm still just going to make the naturalistic blocks, because I can't really afford to play a Magic Trick. I mean, I guess Mog War Marshal dying now isn't the worst thing for him, but it has to die at some point. He's paid like 2 turns to keep it alive, so he's fairly invested in its continued existence. 2 forests and a grove. Draw lots more cards. Doing this at sorcery speed in case I hit Pulse or Horobi's Whisper. I hit both of them, which is lovely. Discarding Raven's Crime and Siphon Life, Turkwood Palace, or a land. Siphon Life and a land are fairly equivalent, so I'm going to discard a land. I'm actually going to Horobi's Whisper the Countryside Crusher, because Maelstrom Pulse has potential to kill both. Should I wait until after his upkeep? How bad is drawing a land for us compared to drawing a spell? I think I'd rather he draws a land, even though it gives him a Penumbra Spider. I don't really care about Penumbra Spider. Next turn his Duskwasp starts getting in there too, but we are still at 23 life, so we've got a lot of life to play with over here. Plus, we get to Siphon Life twice next turn, potentially, which gives us a load more life to play with. We don't really have a way of dealing with the Wasp apart from, because we don't have our own Spider apart from Maelstrom Pulse, but we do have various nefarious. Maybe I shouldn't have just got a Raven's Crime? No, just not discarding Raven's Crime. I quite like having a 5/5 in hand to block his stuff. There's 2 lands in our graveyard, so Worm Harvest currently worth 2 and then 3. So it's getting in for 3 a turn, not including the Siphon Life. If we Siphon Life once a turn, every turn. Ooh. Helpful cards are helpful. So yeah, probably just playing Meloku and seeing what happens after I play a Meloku, because I've never played a Meloku in limited before, non-cube limited, and I'm frankly intrigued. I don't know if it's better to return lands that come into play untapped, or vivid lands to reclaim the counters on them to your hand. I really don't. Certainly playing the swamp here, because our lands are now pretty important to us. And pass turn. Not 100% on how we're winning this game. I suppose turn lands into Malokites, siphon away all his life, win the game. Would be a reasonable assumption as to how we're winning this game. Do we want to make a Malokite and block this? It's kind of our plan. So tap swamp, turn swamp, make a Malokite. Do 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 do. Maybe we should just go all in on Malokites and beat him to death with flyers. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do with Maloku in this format. I really don't know. I suppose he's got stupid in hand with the stupid. You know the card. Could really use a Dakmor Salvage. When couldn't you use a Dakmor Salvage? Okay, his giants are now cheaper. Land, sure. So we siphon his life, at least once.